Precocious could only listen to her mother scream as the wagers loaded her into the wagon and down the road, her father in another wagon behind her. Precocious now sobbed uncontrollably. With each moment, she was being whisked away to prison, where no one ever escaped. Precocious sobbed and sobbed, but when no one consoled her, no comfort, forward and forward to the prison. Now there was a storm brewing behind the clouds, and the clouds grew dimmer and dimmer as they rode, and finally their riding was to come to a complete stop when the wagon Mr. Dethick was riding in, with two wagers ahead of him, was struck by lightning, killing the horse instantly that was carrying his wagon. All of the wagers rushed to see if Mr. Dethick was okay. "I'm fine," he yelled. Precocious was shocked as she glanced back at her father, who could now see. She looked at him with sincerity, and he did also. But inside she felt like the worst daughter in the world. What Precocious did not know was that the man whom she had read about had in fact just helped her, and would continue to do so. The wagon had not been struck by lightning by sheer coincidence. It was intentionally, and much more would happen on Precocious' behalf. But Precocious did not know it yet. She only knew that she was the worst daughter in the world. With a headache and unable to sob anymore, she stared at her father. In a few short moments, they were off again, heading to the prison. Upon arriving at the prison, Precocious and her father were completely separated. "Are we to have a trial?" she asked the wagers. "No trial. Mr. Thickstick has found you guilty. You must pay full wages," the wager said. "I thought I'm entitled to a trial," she asked insistently. "You're entitled to what Mr. Dethick says. Now come on," the wager said as he led her inside the prison down a corridor to her cell. "You'll stay here until you get to Mr. Dethick. You receive your permanent limit stamp," the wager said, closing the cell doors. Inside the cell was cold and dark and smelly like hot urine. She wondered what was the condition of her father's cell. She sat down on the floor in the corner and thought about the men. As she did, she began to feel some joy. As she did, she began to feel some joy. Maybe now she could prove the man was real, and that somehow he really did break out of here. Maybe he will come for her, or come for me, she thought to herself. Little did she know how true this was. That man she thought was already there. He'd already come for her. She couldn't see, but the girl had fire chariots and angels all around her in that very cell. The girl was never alone, not for one moment. But this is not how she felt. She sat there cold, tired, but still somehow not hopeless. The thought of the man was keeping her going. Presence sat on the floor near the front door that was left open by the ragers. She cried and cried. Her whole world had been destroyed. Her and Presence had always planned for the worst. They had both thought that one of them or both of them would end up in prison. Not their daughter. It just wasn't part of the plan. Her daughter, her husband, both taken, reached the limit. She blamed herself for not thoroughly checking Precocious once they left the auditorium. She knew. Precocious was a curious girl, but she never suspected she'd take those papers. But Precocious was always asking questions, even to the wagers once in the past. And her husband striking a wager in the face, Present knew she would never see them both again, ever. What would she do now? She was thinking, I should just go and strike a wager as well. Better to end up in prison than to live in a world where everything she loved was gone. Just then Ingro and his wife appeared at the doorway. They had heard about what had happened. Presence didn't budge off the ground from her sobbing. Who cares if they saw her like this? And she didn't want to talk. There was nothing to say. Sweetie, what happened? Shantir, Ingro's wife, asked while sitting on the ground trying to console Presence. Presence was mute. No words could express how she felt right now. Let's get her onto the couch. Come on, Ingro. Help me lift her, Shantir said, understanding Presence's silence. Okay, he responded. After getting her up on the couch, Shantir made tea and tended to Presence. And then Ingro and Shantir just sat with Presence in silence. All long-time friends now sat without a word to utter between them. They understood the best thing they could do was be there for Presence. That was what she needed most. And when she was ready to talk, she talked. Presence cried and cried, and Shantir consoled her, holding her. Eventually, she fell asleep, crying herself to sleep.
Get up, Ingrid said. Almost morning. We have to go,
he said, nudging Shantir in Presence. I'm not going anywhere, Presence stated.
You have to. No one can take a day off. We have to be at the factory. Come on, we will help you, Shantir said softly.
No, I don't care if I'm taken away. I'm not going anywhere, she said, standing now.
Leave.
Now leave, she said, opening her front door.
No, Ingrid said, slamming it shut.
And so this is a picture of her pointing at her door. Get out, guys. I don't want to see you here. They took my daughter. They took my husband. Oh, my God. And this is the badge she still got on. So let's see what's going to happen.
No, Ingrid said, slamming it shut. Ingrid looked at Shantir, then said, Look, we know what you are thinking of doing something rash. That's why we come. We won't let you do it alone.
I heard someone say it was true. There's a way out. We believe, Shantir said. Just go. You don't know what you're seeing. There's no way out. I'm going and I'm not coming back. I don't think you want to follow me, Presence said, opening at the door.
No, we're going with you, like we said, and we will find a way to get us all out, together,
said Shantir, closing the door once more. You don't know what you're saying. We will go and never return. Do you understand? Never. There is no way out. No one has ever returned. Myths and wise tales will not bring us back, Presence said sarcastically.
Yeah, well, we will find out, Ingrid said sternly.